So, I told you that I got books, and I believe. And so I'm going to show you the books that I got. Okay? So, the book that I got, it has 2 books in it. It's the first book and then the second book. It is The Call of the Wild and White Fang by Jack London. It says, The Call of the Wild centers on a buck, a dog bred for a life of ease on a California estate, who is kidnapped and sold to Klondike gold hunters to survive the biting cold and his ruthless masters. Buck must listen to the call and learn the ways of his wolf ancestors who guide him from within. White Fang tells the story of a half-wolf, half-dog, nearly destroyed by the cruelty of mankind. Brought to the very brink of his existence, White Fang is lucky enough to experience the one thing that can save him: human love. Slowly, the ferocious White Fang grows into a creature capable of bravery, loyalty, and affection. So it sounds like 2 different books instead of sorry, I'm cleaning the camera lens. Instead of like 2 different books, but based roughly around similar things. Okay. And then this one, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Victor Hugo. And it is so one of the first great novels of the Romantic period, Victor Hugo's The Hunchback of Notre Dame has thrilled generations of readers with its melodramatic story of Quasimodo, the hunchback who lives in the bell tower of medieval Paris's famous cathedral. Feared and hated by all, Quasimodo is looked after by Dom Claude Frollo, a stern, cold priest who ignores the poor hunchback in the face of his frequent public torture. But someone steps forward to help, the beautiful gypsy Esmeralda, whose single act of kindness fills Quasimodo with love. Can the hunchback save the lovely gypsy from Frollo's evil plan, or will they perish in the shadows of Notre Dame? So, the kids' cartoon, this was my favorite, The Hunchback. It was, by the way, it's a really thick book, as you can see. It was my favorite. Growing up, it literally was, I felt like I was Quasimodo and I wanted to be Esmeralda. Like, that one I had a very strong connection with, growing up. Aurora, she was just freaking beautiful. Like, the scene where she's asleep and they're talking about it, and Maleficent's talking about, like, how she's sleeping and whatnot. Like, and you see her golden hair and her red lips and everything, and she's just asleep. She looked beautiful. It was my favorite part. And so, for me, that was, I found it beautiful and I was entertained by it. But the one that I had a deep personal connection with was Notre Dame, The Hunchback. That was very close to me. So I got this one. My dad read this because he took English literature, or like British literature, whatever you want to call it. And this is John Milton's Paradise Lost. I don't know if I said for White Fang, the author was Jack London. I'm not sure if I said that, but that's who it is. For The Call of the Wild and White Fang. But anywho. So this one. Okay. As a young student of blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's a influential epic poem in English literature. So the whole book is actually like a poem, really. It's a retelling of the biblical story of mankind's fall from grace. Milton's epic opens shortly after the dramatic expulsion of Satan and his army of angels from heaven. What follows is a cosmic battle between good and evil that ranges across vast, splendid tracts of time and space, from the wild abyss of chaos and the fiery lake of hell to the gate of heaven and God's newly created paradise, the Garden of Eden. Controversy still swirls around Milton's magnificent and sympathetic characterization of Satan, a portrait so compelling that many critics have maintained that he is the true hero of the story. It's interesting. But something to look forward to. So this is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. So I think it's 1 and 2. Or it may just be 1. I can't remember. Okay, first published in... Oh. Yeah, it's 1 and 2. Cool! It says first published in 1865, Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland was an immediate success, as was its sequel, Through the Looking Glass. Carroll's sense of the absurd and his amazing gift for games of logic and language have secured for Alice's books a spot in the hearts of both adults and children. Alice begins her adventure when she follows the frantically late White Rabbit down a hole into the magical world of Wonderland. There she meets a variety of wonderful creatures, including the Cheshire Cat, the hookah-smoking caterpillar, the Mad Hatter, and the Queen of Hearts. Alice continues her adventures in Through the Looking Glass. The second Alice book is loosely based on a game of chess and includes Carroll's famous poems Jabberwocky. Throughout her fantastic journeys, Alice manages to retain her reason, humor, and sense of justice. So yeah, it's 1 and 2. Sweet. So I got that. Oh my gosh, this is freaking massive. Look at that. Oh, freaking huge. It's Don Quixote, Miguel de Cervantes. I don't know. I can't pronounce it, but we'll learn to survive, huh? So widely acknowledged as the first modern novel, Miguel de Cervantes' Don Quixote features two of the most famous characters ever created, Don Quixote de la Mancha, the tall, bewild, and half-crazy knight, and Sancho Panza, his rotund and incorrigibly loyal squire. The unforgettable comic dynamic between these two legendary figures has served as the blueprint for countless novels written since Cervantes' time. An immediate success when first published in 1605, Don Quixote tells the story of a middle-aged Spanish gentleman who, obsessed with chivalrous ideals found in romantic books, decides to take up his lance and sword to defend the helpless and destroy the wicked. Seated upon his lean nag of a horse and accompanied by the pragmatic Sancho Panza, Don Quixote travels the roads of Spain seeking glory and grand adventure. Along the way, the duo meet a dazzling assortment of characters whose diverse beliefs and perspectives reveal the reality and imagination are frequently indistinguishable. I heard this is like amazing, so trying to hurry. This is The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I believe he's Russian. I don't know. So The Idiot is a masterpiece. Portrays a truly beautiful soul, a character he found difficult to bring to life because, as he wrote, beauty is the ideal, and neither my country nor civilized Europe know what that ideal of beauty is. The result was one of Dostoevsky's greatest creations, Prince Myshkin, a saintly, Christ-like yet deeply human figure. So it begins when Mishkin arrives in Russia soil after a stay in the Swiss sanatorium. He's scorned by St. Petersburg society as an idiot for his generosity and innocence. The prince finds himself at the center of a struggle between a rich-kept woman and a beautiful, virtuous girl who both hope to win his affection. Unfortunately, his very goodness seems to bring disaster to all he meets, leading to a shocking denouement that tragically reveals how, in a world obsessed with money, power, and sexual conquest, a sanatorium is the only place for a saint. So, and then lastly, Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. And that, labeled condescending, but its characters Tom, Topsy, Little Eva, Eliza, and the evil Simon Legree still have the power to move our hearts. Though Uncle Tom has become a synonym for a fawning yes-man, Stowe's Tom is actually American literature's first black hero, a man who suffers for refusing to obey his white oppressors. But, yeah. So, those are the books that I got. 7 books. Well, if you count the ones that have 2. So, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, I have 9. So, actual 9 books. So, yeah. Those are the books I got.